We've got a Bulldog man on the program today, another Chicagoland soul who has called Ruston home. Associate pitching coach Matt Miller, who on the very same day Lane Burroughs was introduced as the head coach of Louisiana Tech 10 years ago. Lane called Matt, affirming his commitment to come to Louisiana Tech to pitch. Matt Miller toes the slab next on Tech Drive. Welcome into another edition of Tech Drive. I'm the voice of the Bulldogs, Kyle Schasberger. I'm here with associate pitching coach Matt Miller. He's in his 7th season. Diamond Dogs look good coming off this past weekend at the Grind City Classic. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, absolutely. We had a great response last weekend after our tough loss against McNeese back at home, and our guys came out. Ton of energy. We had 3 great starts on the weekend, and we got to put it behind us now. We got a big week ahead with Northwestern State on Tuesday and the Golden Eagles of Southern Miss coming in this weekend. So big week ahead.
Yeah, it's going to be a massive, massive weekend for those that haven't made plans already. The Love Shack, 3 games, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday against Southern Miss. A little preview of what's coming to Sun Belt, but there's been a little bit of a rivalry here over the last handful of years or more with Southern Miss. I mean, there's already some bad blood, massive respect, I'm sure, but anytime Louisiana Tech and Southern Miss get together, I mean, that's a show.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, a big rivalry for sure. And there's been, Coach Ostrander and Coach Creel at Southern Miss were here back when I played. Coach Oz was a pitching coach here in 16 and 17, and Coach Creel was here in 17, 18, and 19. And then obviously Coach Burroughs was at Southern Miss for 9 years, and Coach Fed now, he was at Southern Miss too. So it goes back a long time for sure, but over the past few years, it's been heated for sure. So it's an exciting time, but like I said, we got to look forward to the Demons first tomorrow.
Yeah. What's a day in the life of Matt Miller look like now that we're in season?
In season, a lot better, to be honest with you. Things kind of slow down a little bit. Obviously, you would think it'd be kind of backward just with the travel and, scouting reports and all that stuff, but you get more into a routine in season, which is nice. So in day in the life, I mean, this week's a little different since we played Friday and a doubleheader on Saturday, no game yesterday. Usually Mondays are our day off, but today we'll practice. We'll get back after it, and we'll take Wednesday off this week. But today, once I'm done here, go back to the office, print out some things on Northwestern State, watch a little video, and then we'll practice this afternoon a little bit, get moving around, get ready for tomorrow. And then obviously Wednesday, day off. It's be a big prep day for us on the coaching side with scouting reports and video and all that. Thursday we'll have practice, and then Friday it's go time. So yeah.
Yeah. We'll pivot to your story and your journey, but I want to pull on something you just said, like the scouting and the analytics and the preparation now that we're in season. I couldn't help but notice on the trip up to Memphis, and that was a very pleasant bus drive. Thank you, John, our driver, that proud, bright, beautiful Louisiana Tech bus that was heading up to the Grind City this past weekend. But that was my first trip with baseball, and I must say first, thank you, your group, first-class experience, very accepting of me. It was a phenomenal trip. Yes, I am 3-0. I don't want too much shine to be put on that.
Pressure's on you.
Yeah, the pressure is on me. But I couldn't help but notice, on the trip up, I'm seeing some of the other, staffers with heat maps up, and you're sharing information. I mean, this is a collaborative thing, and everybody's pulling the rope in the same direction. But with so much information available now, does that further complicate things or make things easier, knowing you have so much information and preparing for a given
Absolutely. It for sure can complicate things. And we met as a staff early in January to figure out what's important for us, because you can find as much information as you really want. But too much it can be overloading at times and whatnot. So we found out what's important for us. Jake on the offensive side for opposing pitchers, and then obviously Coop against the opposing hitters. So we find out what's important, what we want to do, and then we kind of deep dive there. And I obviously help Coop on the opposing hitters, but I also watch the opposing pitchers, pickoff moves, tendencies, all that stuff. And Jake Wells and Garrett Belding and Chris Watson, they'll do all the deep dive of metrics and velocities and all that stuff. It's crazy how much it's evolved even over the past 3 or 4 years.
Mhm.
And obviously, going back to my playing days, you can find whatever you want, and it's kind of scary a little bit.
Right.
But yeah, we dumb it down a little bit so we don't overload ourselves with information and obviously our players.
Yeah, it's trying to find that balance, and I even know, me as a broadcaster, and trust me, I was in heaven this past weekend, being back in the booth calling baseball. I mean, that is my happy place more than anything. Very much looking forward to being here for an entire weekend at the Love Shack against Southern Miss. But you're trying to weave in certain bits of information, knowing what the listener may want, and
Hmm.
how you can most get across a message. And I know that's got to be a challenge, for you and your team, and making sure you understand and kind of sort through what is most important in that process for you personally. Heartland Community College is where you transferred from to go to Louisiana Tech. That's in Normal, Illinois, which is close to Illinois State. I actually lived there
Very
for,
close.
yeah,
Yep.
it's like Bloomington Normal.
About a mile apart from each other. Yep.
Yes, I lived there for a couple years in first and second grade before
Okay.
moving back up to the
Yeah.
Chicagoland area. But you come in from Heartland, earned a second team All CUSA honor in 2019. Your 97 strikeouts were the most by a Bulldog since 2007. When you look back on your playing days, what do you remember most?
The biggest things, I mean, obviously the relationships. I mean, I came down, like you said, from Illinois, and I didn't know what to expect because me and my roommate at the time committed to Louisiana Tech together, and he unfortunately got in a car crash and didn't come down until 6 months later, I think in
Wow.
January. So it was a tough time for sure, and me just being in a different environment, different culture, and all that stuff, and but the players here, man, it was the relationships for sure, and the bond you build in the locker room and on the field, you're competing with each other, competing for each other, and all that stuff. That's one thing I'll remember, and I've been in a couple weddings of former players here at Louisiana Tech, um, and obviously you're going to remember some wins and some losses, but it's the relationships for sure. There's been some great guys I've got to meet along the way. So that's been awesome for sure.
How was it you locked in on Louisiana Tech and your roommate? I mean, you got to expand a little bit. You can't just say you got in. Is he okay? Like, what's going?
Yeah.
All right.
So he's okay. His recovery process didn't really allow him to pitch here.
Yeah.
So he unfortunately transferred after the season, went to Tennessee Wesleyan and pitched there for a little bit and
Okay.
won a NAI championship there. So good for him. But my journey here, and it's kind of crazy because I actually committed to another school in the fall of 14.
Hmm.
And Jake Wells at the time when he was here, his first go around, he recruited me the first time.
Okay.
And I kind of had my eyes set on the other school, and I ended up committing there. And come spring of 15, my first start down in Florida, I tore my UCL and had Tommy John surgery, unfortunately. And that school I had committed to, they actually dumped my scholarship. So I was kind of in a dilemma of going there and not being on scholarship and knowing I wouldn't play there, or going back to my junior college for a third year and almost using that as a gap year
Hmm.
and a recovery year. And I decided to do that. And my coach at the time, Nate Metzger at Heartland, he had a great relationship with Coach Ostrander and Coach Wells, and he had called him back up in the fall and was like, "Hey, Matt's back on the market, yada yada yada." And he did that with a few other schools, and I actually came on a visit in the spring of 16. Coach Wells and Coach Ostrander brought me down, and me and Colton at the time, we came down together, and we loved it. Committed on the spot basically, and then after that season, they went to the Starkville Regional, and Coach Goff and that staff got the job at Bama. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I went through all this last year. Now I'm going through this, and it was up in the air if Coach Ostrander was going to stay or if he was going to go or what that was about. And he stayed in touch with me through the process, and said, hold off, we'll see what happens. And obviously, they hired Coach Burroughs, and the day of his press conference, he called me, and we were on the phone about an hour and a half. And I'm like, man, this dude's awesome. He had
Incredible.
no idea who I was.
Yeah.
He was just told, call this guy and try to keep him to stay here and stay committed to us. And I did. And now looking at it, here I am 10 years later. And 3 great years with them. Unfortunately, we didn't make any regionals then. We had some great seasons, and I think it was like a 34 win season, 36, 39, and then finally in 2021 we broke through and being on the coaching side. Um, and obviously hosting the first ever Ruston Regional, that was a special experience for sure.
Yeah, and that was in 2021. Incredible career symmetry, right? Especially with what's coming up this weekend with Coach Ostrander and Southern Miss coming to the Love
Yep,
Shack and the connections that exist there. And two, Lane Burroughs, his same day as his introductory press conference.
yep.
He's calling you and having an extended phone call. And here you are, yes, in 2026, year 7, having played and now continuing to coach here. You're from the Chicagoland. It's Aurora, right? Which
Hmm.
is west. Is that what, 40 minutes
About
west?
40 miles west. Yep,
Yeah.
38 to be exact. Yeah.
It's an hour from where you grew up to where I grew up in the south suburbs. So Aurora to South Howland. So that's west side for you, and I'm on the far southern side.
Hmm.
We have connections to Chicago, obviously. Unless you're passionate about pizza, I'm not going to tee you up on it because we've talked a lot of pizza on this. I mean, I know you're passionate because you have Chicagoland
I'm more
roots.
of a wing guy.
Okay, more of a wing guy. So we won't touch the pizza stuff, but we do also have a connection. Us talking a few weeks ago, Ho Chunk Sports
Yep.
Complex, South Side. It's in Linwood, right down the street from my first love in high school. I used to walk over there, but I also worked at this place. And you have some travel ball connections to there.
Absolutely.
We were probably there at the same time, maybe.
At some point, we for sure were because we played, 3 to 4 tournaments there a spring, and obviously that's from 10U all the way to I think 15, 16U. So there was 5
Yeah.
or 6 years there, and I remember in 10U, they were hosting some World Series there, and Puerto
Hmm.
Rico was there, Team Japan, and Hawaii, Brazil. So that was special for sure. But obviously, like I said, I grew up at that place 3 to 4 times a year
Yeah.
for 5 to 6 years, and a lot of memories down there for sure.
Yeah, it's sort of like a mecca for travel ball,
Absolutely.
and they got the roller rink. They actually filmed a movie with. Do you remember Lil Bow Wow?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, he did a movie, a skating movie called Roll Bounce.
Okay.
Okay, so there's a roller rink that's I don't know, probably 2 blocks away from Ho Chunk Sports Complex, just up there. You can walk there, and they filmed the whole thing there.
Hmm.
Yeah, so a little bit more trivia
Wow.
on the south
Okay.
side. So, and of
Yeah,
course, you're a Cubs fan, right?
I am. Yep.
I don't think I've ever met a person from Chicago that's moved away that's a White Sox fan. So I think that's kind of an indictment on the White Sox more than anything. But we got a lot of Cubs bloodlines with the program, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, Phil Maton, who I think he was drafted in the spring of 15, he now signed a 2 year
Hmm.
contract with the Cubs, and which is exciting. But yeah, I'm a diehard Cubs fan, and back in 16 when they won the World Series, it was a awesome time for me, but it was also a tough time for me because down here there weren't many Cubs fans. It was either the Rangers or the Astros, and I think the Indians back then beat the Astros to go to the World Series. So hanging out with a bunch of my teammates and stuff at the apartments and watching the games, it was tough because they were giving me
Yeah.
crap, and they didn't want the Cubs to win. And that Game 7 was unbelievable when that home run happened off Chapman, and then the rain delay, and you didn't as a Cubs fan, you didn't feel good about it.
No,
But they
no,
pulled it away,
no.
which was awesome. But yeah, man, the Cubs are awesome, and like you said, a lot of connections with them here.
Yeah, Dan Takata
Yep,
is a big Cubs fan, and he's kind of that. He's in that hybrid like trainer, dope, like director of baseball
he's a
operations.
Swiss Army knife.
He
Yeah,
does. He does it all. He also is responsible for that hat that's on your head, right?
yes,
Is
he
what I
is.
understand.
Yep.
So I need to send him. I need to smooch him up. Kind of get on that list so I
Yeah,
can get.
Dan likes to hook up the coaches with a lot of swag, and
Yeah,
he does a lot of it on his own. But yeah, he's
it's
the man.
it's funny you mentioned Game 7 before we move, and I want to dive further into your career and the decision to coach with Matt Miller, 7th-year associate pitching coach here at Louisiana Tech for the Diamond Dogs, who start the season 7-1 after sweeping 3 games, 2 against Ohio State and Memphis this past weekend in the Grind City Classic. With that World Series, it's funny looking back on it. Can you remember and like pinpoint exactly what you were doing though throughout that entire like quick rain delay, the Cubs winning, celebrating?
Absolutely.
Like I got it burned into my mind forever because as soon as that delay hit, I remember running to a Sheetz, which is kind of a souped up gas station in North Carolina, similar to a Wawa. and running to go get like additional fuel, caffeine, whatever. We'll leave it at that. People can use their imagination. And I'm in the bathroom, and I got a text from one of my best friends in Chicago, and he's like, "They're restarting," and I'm like,
What?
"What? This is like a 17-minute delay, right?" And then I rush back home, and I'm able to, see the entire inning through. But this is incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I for sure know, what I was doing, where I was, and, I don't know if I can say it on air,
Yeah,
but,
no, no.
similar to you.
Yes,
We'll leave it at that.
yes, yes. Um, so from a community college in central Illinois, you make your way down to Louisiana Tech, 4.09 ERA, 200 and a third innings, and you're now coaching alongside the man who had brought you here in Lane Burroughs, or at least helped confirm your commitment at the time to get you here. And you've worked your way up from a volunteer assistant to the role that you have now. What's it like working for Lane Burroughs, who over the weekend, winning all 3 games, he got to now 317 career wins at Louisiana Tech. He's alone for the second most wins all time, passing Barry Hinton.
Yeah, no, it's awesome, and he's given me 2 chances, first as a player, obviously, and then now as a coach, and, I can't thank him enough for that. It's been a joy, and, he's I remember the conversation he had with me back in 16 when he was trying to convince me to stay committed and all that stuff, and his vision, and obviously this, kinda gets out there in public at times about, hosting regional, and obviously we did in 21, and he speaks highly on us getting to Omaha, and I believe that's going to happen with him at the helm here. And our guys believe in that. They trust in him. But working for him, it's awesome, man. He gives the coaches so much freedom. He trusts us. Um, it's a joy to go to the office every day. There's no strict time to be in the office. There's no strict dress code. Like I said, there's a lot of freedom, and it's awesome to work for him. And he's the man. I can't thank him enough. Like I said.
I sent him a text this morning just thanking him again for what I was able to experience this past weekend with Trip and travel. And yeah, he is as authentic and genuine
Yep.
as it comes. He is a one-of-one man, and you can feel that reverberate throughout the entire staff, and certainly the character of men on the team, which I want to dive into also. But what made you want to coach? Like why is this what you're doing now? Is this where you envisioned yourself being? What did you want to do your entire life growing up?
So obviously, when I was younger, I wanted to be a professional baseball player. Wanted to play for the Cubs,
Hmm.
but that didn't happen. I was fortunate to have the opportunity to play independent professional baseball with the Schaumburg Boomers in
Yeah,
Chicago
yeah.
area for a summer. Um, but it happened. It was when I was injured. It was a spring of 16. I knew I wasn't going to pitch. I knew I wasn't going to play, but I kind of followed around my junior college coaches, Coach Justin Hauer and Coach Nick Magnifico, who's now a scout with the Royals. He was with South Al the past few years, and then Coach Metzger, he's a scout with the Cubs. And I just followed them along and kind of shadowed them. And I was like, man, this is awesome. I want to coach, you know? And so that's what made me, have that connection and that commitment to what I wanted to do. And how it evolved here was I was playing professional baseball. It was kind of the end of August, and Coach Knight had taken a job at East Carolina. And so I called the assistant at the time, Coach Silva. I said, what are the chances Coach Burroughs would let me fill into that role? He's like, well, call him, see
Yeah.
what he says. And me and Coach Burroughs had a conversation, and he's like, well, let me talk with the staff. He's like, I'll reach back out tomorrow. We'll see where we are, blah, blah, blah. And he offered me that spot. And here I am 7 years later on the coaching
Yeah.
side and 10 years total. So it's awesome. Uh, I mean, your office is the field.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
it's hard to beat, and working with players all the time. It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
So,
that's awesome. You tutored some great ones, Ethan Bates and Ryan Harlan, Jonathan Fincher, a great group of guys. What do you love most about it, other than obviously your office being the ballpark?
yeah. There's a lot of guys. I mean, you mentioned those three, and they're all three of those guys are different. So it's trying to find the best way to coach and create a process and a development plan for individual guys. And Cade Gibson, for example, I mean, obviously he's in the big leagues now, and he was here training all off season. But I remember he was a red shirt my last year. So we actually played together, and we joked around this off season about how much he's changed. And he was such a mental head case back in the day, and now
Yeah.
he is so professional. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's just seeing those guys go through the process, trust the process of the development plan, what we kind of envision them to do, and where they can be successful. And obviously, those three names like Fincher, Harland, and Bates, those guys were incredible. I mean, Fincher, All American, Bates, two-time All American and unanimous All American his second year here, and then Harlan, a freshman All American. It's just crazy to see those guys kind of grow up and develop into the men and players they became.
And of course, Cade Gibson was sitting right where you were a couple of months ago, I think. So he's in spring training right
Yep.
now with the Marlins. Awesome story. Recruiting, the lifeblood of any program. No doubting the way in which, how Lane has helped to elevate the Diamond Dogs brand throughout his tenure now in year 10. And Tech has become a premier destination for college baseball. It has. Like, I don't want to hear the P4 and non P4. Like, to be honest, I'm kind of insulted by that. And I think
Right.
that speaks to it's the reality of the situation. Yes, we all understand the score. But baseball is a big ticket item here, and
Yep.
it is a very attractive spot for young baseball talent. And obviously Tech proved that this weekend, collecting two P4 wins over Ohio State. They hadn't done it in 3 years. It was last in Oxford against Ole Miss, February 28th, 2023, when Tech technically had a win over a P4. But put all that aside, what certain characteristics are you and the rest of the staff looking to identify in bringing these young men to Louisiana Tech?
Yeah, well, obviously there needs to be a certain talent level, skill set, but it's the character and makeup. I mean, that's the biggest things we look for in young men. They got to be selfless, and Jake Wells and Cooper Fouts do a fantastic job of cross-checking guys and calling their high school coaches, travel ball coaches, junior college coaches, all this to make sure they're the type of players that we want in our program. And obviously, if you can, I mean, if you have one drop of poison in the locker room, it can create major issues. And our coaching staff has done a fantastic job over the past few years of bringing in the right guys who hold each other accountable and are selfless, like I said. But Coach Burroughs does a good job. He wants it to be a player-driven program, and when you get the right people in the locker room, good things happen. And we've had great success with that over the past few years, like I said.
Leave it to a Bulldog man, a team captain for life, to detail the profile of the type of young men you're looking to bring to Ruston. Bulldog man, I see it. I've heard it. People talk about it. That's how people like to describe people such as yourself. And it's not thrown around, to just anybody, this moniker. What does it mean to you to be referred to as a Bulldog man?
It means everything to me. Like I said earlier, I mean, I can't thank Coach Burroughs enough for everything he's done for me and trusted in me, and obviously naming me a Bulldog man. Me and Chris Clayton were the first two to be named Bulldog man. It's kind of funny because I'm from Chicago and Chris was from Virginia, and both of us coming from 10 plus hours away, 12 plus hours away. And Coach Burroughs and the rest of the coaching staff and players having that trust, and me and him, and then obviously the 10 other guys that have been named Bulldog Man. It's the greatest achievement you can have as a player, I believe. And it just, yeah, I mean, it's hard to put into words. It's very humbling because it's funny, when we bring recruits in and Coach Fouts or Coach Wells or Coach Burroughs mention the Bulldog Man, and
Yeah.
my face is right there, my name's right there, and the mom or dad or player, or be like, wait, that's you. So it's very humbling, and like I said, I can't thank Coach Burroughs enough and the coaching staff and players during that time that had that trust and respect for me to be named that. It's a great blessing for sure.
And this university, this community of Ruston, as you've well documented, it has delivered so much and given so much to you, but it's also presented you with an opportunity to meet your partner for life. You and your wife might not ever have crossed paths if it
Never.
weren't for you being here.
Yeah, for sure. And now that Coach Wells is back on the staff, I jokingly thank him all the time and said, if it wasn't for you, me and Reagan, we wouldn't be here, you know?
Yeah.
It's funny how that, kind of came about, and baseball's full circle. Obviously he recruited me here 12 years ago, and now he's on the coaching staff with me. So to see that come into fruition is awesome. But yeah, no, I can't thank him enough. And if it wasn't for him, obviously I wouldn't have met my wife Reagan, and she's a rock star, and I can't thank her enough for all the support she's given me, and the trust that she has in me. It's been awesome.
And she knows the score now we're in season, right? Like, how do you strike up that balance? Because you said now that we're in season, the process of your day to day
Yeah.
as a coach becomes more or less complicated, we'll put it. What about at home? How do you, we just had Valentine's Day with a double header opening day weekend. Like, how do you make that happen?
So first, I'll talk on the Valentine's Day. So luckily, she was in Utah visiting
Okay.
family. Her younger sister's getting married here in August, and she was wedding dress shopping.
Okay.
So we actually celebrated Valentine's Day on Tuesday, and thanks to Coach Burroughs and his wife Susan, they gifted us a gift card to Bovines on Christmas,
Okay.
and so we went to Bovines on Tuesday before she left on Wednesday to go up to Utah. So I had my own Valentine's date, and I went to Taco Bell
Yeah.
after the doubleheader on Saturday against Houston Christian. Hung out with the dog, but no, yeah, striking the balance between wins and losses and the score. Um, like I said, she's very supportive. She understands the game. She knows when we don't play good, I'm not going to be happy. But I've always told her I'm never going to bring wins and losses home. I'm going to leave that when I walk outside the door at the stadium. And she knows I'm frustrated after we lose and whatnot. But we'll talk about it at home. But I'm not going to bring out my frustrations on
Yeah.
her. And like I said, she's a rock star, and I can't thank her enough for all the support she's given me over the past couple of years.
That's beautiful. Love that. This has been so much fun visiting with you. Any final thoughts about this season? It's very early. You got Southern Miss coming up this weekend, obviously the midweek to take care of against Northwestern State. But the expectations, the ceiling for this team. What do you hope that this program can accomplish throughout this upcoming spring and hopefully into the summer?
Yeah, well, going into the fall and obviously the early spring, we knew we were going to have high expectations. We like the group of guys that we have. We think we're talented. We know we're talented, but it's the belief that our players need to have going into it, and it's staying in the present, staying in the moment, taking one game at a time, and just focusing on that. And like I said earlier, we got Northwestern State first before we have Southern Miss. So we need to take care of the Demons tomorrow before we can start thinking about the Eagles. But man, I think it's a championship team. I really do. Obviously, there's some areas we need to clean up, especially on the pitching side. We need to be better in the bullpen. Got to come out throwing strikes with multiple pitches, and we've talked about that. So we got to be better there. And our offense, it's going to click. We saw Trey come through this weekend, and West come through with some big hits this weekend. So it's the collection of our guys just working together and picking each other up when someone may not get the job done. But I'm excited for the year and excited for tomorrow against the Demons.
Yeah, so much excitement for this program. I think 26 home games now in total remain. If you need some swag, go to Patton's downtown, a North Louisiana tradition since 2007. Hundreds of uniquely designed and officially licensed swag for you, shirts, hoodies, all that good stuff. There's plenty from a baseball side of things. So Patton's downtown, a North Louisiana tradition since 2007. Matt, pick up basketball game. Hopefully it's in my future, right? Do not forget about me,
Yeah.
okay? All right. It might have
Yep.
to come after the season now. I totally understand, but hopefully you keep a direct line to your boy here. So,
Absolutely. Yeah. We're always looking for another sixth guy.
okay.
So a little 3-on-3 with our good friend Stevie D. So
Yeah.
you'll be in the mind
Stevie
if
D.
we need another guy. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Well,
yep.
he's Matt Miller. Carson, thank you so much. Kyle Kavanaugh, GB, Jack, the whole gang. I'm the voice of the Bulldogs, Kyle Schasberger. Matt, we'll see you at the Bowl Yard this week a number of times, and we'll talk to you again next week on Tech Drive.